Live from the Hoboken Historical Museum in beautiful uptown Hoboken, New Jersey, it's Hoboken Talks, a weekly live on the interweb show where we talk to the interesting characters around town. Artists, musicians, business people, members of the clergy, volunteers, activists, everybody. I love this show. This week on the show, it's Spike Enzweiler. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Spike?
Yes, it is.
Okay. He's a man about town. Associated, would you say most? I'm gonna Lunchtime Ministry.
Lunchtime Ministry,
but also
Shelter.
the Hoboken Shelter. Perhaps some of you don't know him, and but you might know him because
You should.
anything can happen to anyone in this life of ours, and there are angels among us who are there to help out. When life takes bad turns, and you're one of them.
Well, that's very nice, Jack. Thank you.
Now, first, let me take care of a little business. If you're watching us live, and right now 5 people are, that number may grow. But if you're watching, for those 5 of you, please feel free. You can type comments and questions, because we're on Facebook. And for people watching this in the future, you can watch it on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. I think it's on Truth Social. No, I don't. It's not on there. It's not. Our request hasn't been accepted. But your comments and questions, we welcome them, and as long as you're polite. Our man Rand Hoppy, who's the not just the collections director here at the museum, but he is the producer, the technical director of Hoboken Talks. So he'll share those comments and questions, and we'll respond to you live. You've always wanted to ask a question of Spike. Now's your chance.
Not too much cursing.
Little
bit. Yeah, a little bit is okay.
We might go viral. See, it's already up to 8 people.
Yeah.
So it's now, before we get into the nitty gritty.
Yep.
I felt that I needed to address the elephant in the room. Jumbo. Shh, we're doing a show. Sweet Jumbo.
That was good, Jack. I was not expecting that.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. No, because of things you and I have in common, I think one that's noticeable to people on the street is where, like I am missing both of my lower legs is something that I deal with, and you're missing I guess what? How would you refer to that? Lower arm?
Yeah. That is obviously not here, so it's an elephant that's not in the room, you could call it.
And do you mind talking? Was that is it a congenital? Was it a traumatic?
Well, I do, as you mentioned, work in a soup kitchen, and the expression "don't bite the hand that feeds you" would be appropriate. I'll just say it happened at work.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. I was. Do you have the picture, Rand?
Goodness.
No, it didn't happen like that either. It's quite boring, actually. I was just born without a hand, and so I was completely used to it. And because it's, as you mentioned, very visible, it's something that everybody notices, and that a lot of people are, I suppose, uncomfortable with. I don't really understand that, but they want to ask, but they don't want to ask, and so I like to make up a lot of stories, some of which I can't share in a public forum.
All right. I mean, I could very easily would do a whole hour just
yes.
about that and about how people react on the
Yes.
street, but that's not why we're here today. But I just wanted to acknowledge it, and if anything, to show that people with differences and disabilities and can thrive, and yeah. So let us begin. Spike, you are not originally from this area.
True.
Tell us about the growing up and where.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty cool. So I'm originally from Northern Kentucky. Let's see. It's very rural. I grew up on a small farm.
I think we have a picture of Kentucky.
Kentucky? Oh, yes. That is me beside the Ohio River.
So it's not the Hudson River.
That is not the Hudson, no.
This is the mighty Ohio.
Yes. This is, I'm on the Kentucky side, and you can see the Ohio side behind me. And if you were to move a bit to the left, you would see Cincinnati. I was actually born pretty much across the river from Cincinnati, but nevertheless very rural. So you had the best of both worlds. You had this beautiful, beautiful area full of farms and trees and so on. And then across the river, you had the city, which was only a 20-minute drive away.
And also the Cincinnati airport is on the Kentucky side.
The Cincinnati airport is, and Kentucky owns most of that portion of the Ohio River, which of course only Kentuckians know.
What's your take on three-way chili?
Oh my goodness. Well, Skyline is better than Gold Star, but Camp Washington is the best of all.
All right.
Ah, yes.
Go Reds. Eric Kammer. Hoboken Talks Man of the Year. I don't know if the Rand has the certificate gone out yet, but the best, the most loyal watcher of the show, and after being such a loyal watcher, has been interviewed on the show and has been a interviewer on the show.
Oh.
Going back to what we Alexander Rosario III asks, how do you politely break the ice about the subject? Is this the subject of three-way chili? No, probably the
elephant. Or the non-elephant. Yeah, good question. Sometimes I'll make jokes. Like, people will ask me, if I'm doing something, no matter what it is that I'm doing. People will, if they ask, do you need a hand? And I'll be like, no, I have enough. And they'll be, oh my God. Like, they'll react with absolute horror. And I'm like, no, I made a joke. That means I'm comfortable with it. So, if you stop being horrified by the jokes, like you get to know me long enough, that's the I guess the silver level. If you start laughing at the jokes, that's the gold level. If you start making your own jokes, that's platinum. But it is difficult, and often just if I'll casually bring it up, that's helpful, because then folks realize that it's okay to ask. And another thing is children. When I come across folks at the shelter, some folks will come in to donate, and the children will immediately ask me, and the parents are always, they think that's rude. And I'm like, no, it's not rude. It's no problem. So I'll tell the child, and I'll thank them for asking, and I'll tell the parent it's okay too.
Yeah, but likewise, Kate Valenta.
Hello, Kate.
Big supporter of the museum. Says, now this is quality programming. Hey, Spike. And then those are
a pair of hands, yes.
Now, what I'm not up with all the emojis.
I don't know.
That is.
Yes.
I don't know.
I like it though. I
Yes.
like it. But no, it seems to me that on this kids, well, at least maybe it's more for me because they're down by my legs, and dogs also.
Yes.
But they're looking, and sometimes a parent will be like, no, that's right, and I'll say, no, I'm
Exactly.
always happy
Yes.
to talk with the kids, and just don't stare is basically what it's okay to be curious, but don't be rude,
Yeah.
Okay, enough of the Ohio River for now, but wait excuse me while I take a sip of cool water from my this isn't a Hoboken Talks. What is that?
Unclassical.
Unclassical contemporary still lifes. Deborah Paul. Oh, she is wonderful. She is a exquisite artist, and actually this Sunday is the opening reception up here in the upper gallery for her show, and they have mugs. But this is a don't miss show, and I guess from 2 to 5 this Sunday. Rand, does that seem about right?
Yeah.
And I there may be little crackers. I heard there might be little. Don't quote me on that. But she's phenomenal. So don't miss that show, and it'll run after that. I'm busy on Sunday. You can come.
We'd have a live talk with her tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, I'm busy. All right, so you're living a somewhat average childhood in Kentucky.
I wouldn't say that. It was unusual.
It was an unusual.
Well, I was extremely fortunate growing up. I have a wonderful family, very small and close-knit family. And my parents were musicians and educators and linguists, so we were very invested, immersed in music and books at a young age. And the community where I lived is rural again, and the church is at the center of everything. So you have this built-in community. I think there's a picture of like an Easter egg hunt or something of us on the stairs.
That's we can get to that.
You'll get to that? Okay. Yeah, that's very.
Look at that. He jumped right to it.
I think I'm in the middle wearing my that brown shirt with the fringe, and my brother's the ugly one in the front in the gray shirt. He's kind of hamming it up. And my mom's kind of diagonally to the back of me in the blue. That's us in front of the church. So that was a very loving and kind and small community. And another community I had was my school. I went to grade school in Cincinnati and high school in Northern Kentucky. Both were private Catholic schools, and my family was usually on the lower economic end of the spectrum going there. So it was very different, very interested in school and sports, and so totally different from the church community, but also different from my family. So it was a real, while the communities themselves might have been homogenous by themselves, they were different from each other. And I think that gave me a good perspective. I got to grow up with all different kinds of people.
Yeah. That's interesting to me that your parents were musicians, because I was going to ask.
Yes.
A lot of times interest in music and the church are kind of go excuse my language, hand in non-hand, or but not quite the case for you. There was already music in the household.
But music, I played the organ at that church, and I have at other churches since I was 15 years old, so 16 years now.
Right. So let's go back an image or two. I guess not the family.
That's my family.
Now you said a small family. That's a pretty big family.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
mostly my mother's side. Yeah.
It's all relative. They are all relatives, but it is all. I like this. Hey, it's Carol, our good friend Carol Cusack, who
Hello, Carol.
was one of my favorite Hoboken Talks interviews. Was her being interviewed, but she says, "Hey, Spike and Jack, party on, Spike." So if you didn't see that one, go on to your YouTube, where all of these interviews are archived, and you go to Hoboken Historical Museum, and you could search, or you can scroll down to Carol, and it's just a great story of growing up in Ireland and coming over here. But we're not here to talk about Carol. I mean, I could
Definitely
easily,
not,
I
no.
could easily, but if you want to point out anybody there in the it's a good looking bunch there.
Yes. The guy with the walker is my grandfather, and behind him, the tall guy with the reddish hair is my father.
Nice.
And let's see, my mother is second from far right, wearing black.
Yes.
And then it's all second cousins, aunts, uncles. So that's family and extended family there.
And what was the occasion for this?
Yeah, we were visiting my grandfather in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's where he lives.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good story. He actually grew up in this area, and he was born on this side of the river in Union City.
Uh-huh.
And his father was the pastor of a church in Brooklyn, which still exists. And
Nice.
yeah, so he grew up in this area. He ended up moving to Pennsylvania. So that's where we spent our summers quite often.
All right. And now the next photo is your little guy.
Yes, that's with my cousin Owen. So yes, very cute. we can move on.
All right. And
Yes, that's grade school.
What's up with that guy on the left?
Yeah, he doesn't look too happy. That's my best friend from grade school, Danny.
Are we still in touch with Dan?
Yeah, he's okay.
Good.
It's all right. And then that's our friend Annie in the middle.
Nice.
So you couldn't get much better than those uniforms.
Shorts, at least, it's okay, I think.
True.
And where are we? We're in the Arctic.
Oh, yes. This is college. So are you familiar with Oberlin College?
Sure.
Yes.
But for the folks who aren't, that's in Ohio.
It is in northern Ohio near Cleveland. We're on Lake Erie.
This is very northern.
Lake Erie froze, and we decided to walk out onto the ice. So I think I'm on the left, and yeah, I chose this picture because it's one of the few pictures from college where everyone is fully clothed.
Okay.
No, Oberlin's a kind of a hippie school. So again, very different and very different community from what I grew up with. Also fairly small, and great growing up experience.
And what did you choose to study there at Oberlin?
I double majored in German and creative writing.
Okay, now that's an interesting. I was a creative writing major. Let's the two shot again. So yeah, I was a creative writing major, but I wasn't but also German. But so then
German. I grew up speaking. My parents spoke German with us, with my brother and me, when we were growing up. That story is coming up.
It's coming up, Eric.
Yes,
you have to be
Eric.
patient.
So it was fairly easy to major in German, and creative writing I like doing. I always thought I wanted to be a writer, and then I thought that's probably not going to work financially. So I thought maybe.
Oh, trust me, it doesn't.
Yes, my uncle made a living as a writer, and he told me it didn't work. So yeah. So now leaving college. Now that picture.
Now, did you do any creative writing in German?
A little bit. It wasn't very good.
All right.
Now.
I think we have a picture of you graduating.
Oh, the graduation, yes. That's my parents and me at graduation.
Look at that. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We remember your folks from the other photo, and there they are again.
Yes. They're less hungover than I was in that picture. So the orange vest was to honor the folks I worked with at college, and that was one of my great educational experiences at Oberlin. I had a number of wonderful work-study jobs, including working at Oberlin College Safety and Security. And I did nothing. I mean, I answered the phones for the student shuttle bus. So basically I did nothing, but I got to know the staff there, and it was a wonderful experience. And that was in college that I started realizing I just like to work. I mean, I don't care what kind of work it is. I just like, if you'll pardon the pun, hands-on work.
Yeah, and it seems to me that you've had a lifetime of volunteering as well. You know, aside from just paid work.
I suppose a little bit.
A little bit, okay.
It was a requirement at school.
All right.
Service, and a part of growing up at Churchwell, and I didn't like doing service very much.
Okay.
I liked working.
All right.
So let's see. But in college, I was told, oh, you don't want to be a writer. I guess you could teach. And I think teaching is something, whenever somebody has a field that they're interested in and they say, I don't know what to do with this field, if it's philosophy or German or creative writing or whatever. So they're told, you can teach.
Right.
Well, that's great. What if you're not good at teaching or you don't enjoy it? And I did some teaching in various contexts, and my parents are teachers. I have tremendous respect for a lot of teachers that I've had, but I was never good at it, and I never enjoyed it very much. So at the end of college, I did teach for a year.
Okay.
And then I started realizing, like, this is just not going to work. So what do I do? Now, in the Lake Erie picture, one of my friends, I think second from right, Sam Burney, in college, in our first year of college, spring break, he had taken me on his spring break trip to New York City. And I'd never been really anywhere besides Kentucky and Pennsylvania and Michigan. So New York City was something entirely different. And naturally, I fell in love with the city, and I decided I want to move to New York City.
Okay.
And then that dream kind of got put on hold until after college, when I didn't know what I was going to do, I decided, I'll just do a year of service. I don't have tremendous debts. I'm comfortable living on a budget. I like structure and so on. So I'll just do a year of service and then figure things out. So I looked on the AmeriCorps website. It led me to the Episcopal Service Corps. I signed up for the program in Cleveland because that was near Oberlin, and I thought I should stay there.
A fine American city.
Yes. And I was accepted to the program, but I was told that nobody else had really signed up to do an Episcopal Service Corps program in Cleveland. So there was not going to be an AmeriCorps service program that year. So I said, well, that's fine, but what am I going to do?
Right.
Now, I was referred to a number of programs all over the country, also for the Episcopal Service Corps. I had a few choices, and one of them was based in Newark. And because I like the city of New York, and for a few other reasons, I figured I would go with that one, and I got accepted there and so on, and moved here. That was in September of 2014.
Now, was there a little time overseas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And do we have a photo of? No.
I did not include a
Okay.
photo. No.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Just tell us about
Yeah,
that.
that was the
brief
year teaching. That was in Germany. Hello, Michael.
Michael Buckhout.
Yes, that's a friend of mine. I'm
And,
glad you're watching, Michael.
he loves this story, and
Thank you,
we
Michael.
thank you for watching.
Yeah, I was in Germany. That was the year teaching. That was fun.
Putting your degree to work.
Yes,
All right.
it was good to travel, good to see another country. But as much as I liked that year, I'm glad I ended up here.
All right. And so landed with the Episcopal
Service Corps. It was called, the name for the Newark program was called Newark Acts. And it
Okay.
was based in Newark, but I lived in Union City
All right.
in a house on 16th and Palisade in Union City, which was about 20 blocks from the house where my grandfather had been born. So to answer that earlier question, the
Kismet.
Union City connection did not lead me here, but it's a pretty cool story.
Didn't hurt. Like,
Certainly not.
it maybe gave you a slightly warmer eye towards Union City.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know.
Warmer eye. I'll have to remember that.
And what sort of things did you do in the?
Yes. I got hired as an intern / volunteer at the Hoboken Shelter in November of 2014.
Boom.
Yes.
Bob Foster. That's how we got to Hoboken. We try to cover that in the interviews.
How I got to Hoboken. Yes. And I was doing mostly custodial things. And that March of 2015, they decided, Jacqueline at the shelter said, I would like to see if you want to do case management and rather than custodial. And I did. At first I thought, this is going to be gross. It's going to be people talking about their feelings, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sit there. And
janitorial work can be gross sometimes.
Yes.
Depending.
Yes, that's true.
It's a different sort.
That's true. I'm trying to think of a hand joke. No. Okay, move
Now,
on. Okay.
For those of us not that familiar with the workings of a shelter,
Yes.
Case management is dealing with an individual, several individuals.
Yes,
and,
both.
okay.
And that's what I found. I had no idea what to expect. Sometimes I have to supervise the crowd and make sure everything's okay. But most of the time it's, I let people in. I tell them the rules. If they're going to be guests, if they're going to be staying at the shelter, I tell them the rules. I take down their demographics, and I keep the computer system updated, which helps us with funding and so on, that we have an accurate record. That's my favorite part of the job, but it's also, everyone thinks that's boring. So we'll keep going. Yes. Yes, we started a recycling.
We have
program. Thank you, Rand.
This is a first of, I don't know how many of these I've done, 10 or 12. This is the first time there's been a comment from Rand.
on a Jack show.
I heard him typing away, and I was like, he was on Wordle.
Yes. So yeah, we were starting that when I began, and yeah, there's a lot of with the case managers. What we try to do is help people progress toward ending their homelessness.
Right.
So we sign them up for benefits, food stamps, and so on. Which, skipping forward a bit, that started during the pandemic. That we learned how to sign people up electronically rather than telling them to go to the welfare office. So that was one very good thing that came out of the pandemic.
Yeah,
Was
no, it's
a lot more got done online, and we learned because we had to.
Sure.
So anyways, and then we document how they're doing, how they're working towards getting out of the shelter. And as my coworker who was training me put it when I started, a lot of the job is encouragement. So a lot is just getting to know the folks you're working with and telling them they're doing well and listening when they do want to talk occasionally. And so yeah, it's been a tremendous job. I'm very glad to still be working at the shelter.
I don't even know if I should ask this, but you know, success stories from the not everyone's going to
Yes
succeed, but
yes. And what is success?
That's why I was thinking I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the best things about doing the job has been, like I said, getting to know folks. Some people they're going through something and they come to the shelter and they really have to work on it, but they end up getting out of the situation. They get an apartment, and I've had some folks who they move out and then they usually take a break for a while because they're still getting used to a different routine, and that's hard. Every step of the process is hard. It's not just like you get your apartment and everything's great and sunshine and so on.
Sure.
It's a whole other life to accustom yourself to, especially for folks that have been homeless for a long time. And I've had folks that have come back to volunteer in my kitchen after being homeless, which has been really amazing to see.
One thing that I think is hold
no,
that thought.
No, Pastor, I'm not going to do that.
Can we just can we acknowledge who that was? That's
Yes, that is my boss at my other job, Pastor Gary, at St. Matthew Trinity Lutheran Church in Hoboken. Now that job I got, let's see, in January 2016, and I had been interning at the shelter, and the position of supervisor at Lunchtime Ministry became available. And I didn't know much about Lunchtime Ministry at the time. I knew that they were kind of a morning program that worked in tandem with the Hoboken Shelter.
okay.
And they were looking for somebody to just keep an eye on things and make sure we had volunteers and food every day.
Just now, I'm no expert, but I would say from the name of it, rather than the morning, I would say it would be sort of a midday.
Yes, Mark Singleton says it should be Brunchtime Ministry.
Okay, all right.
We serve lunch at like 9:30, 10:30. A lot of our guests like having food early because then they can get going. You know, they can go to work,
right.
Go to their appointments. They can spend a whole afternoon at the shelter doing case management. And Lunchtime Ministry it's the picture in the background is a group of us that's with some of my volunteers, at least two of whom have already been interviewed on Hoboken Talks.
Sure. All right. Yeah. Who do we have back there? Of course, there's Liz.
There's Liz, the only one with the mask on my left. She's the art teacher. We do an art program. She's been teaching art at Lunchtime Ministry in the shelter for about as long as I've been working there, so 7 to 8 years. We have Bernie on my right. He is our Tuesday morning breakfast server and photographer. Most of our social media presence is thanks to Bernie. We have figured out that he takes great pictures. We have Mao, who's next to Bernie in the yellow apron, and Mao is an incredible cook. And Philip, the other very young person in the picture, he is also a good cook. He has since moved to another state. And then we have Carmen with the black jacket, who has volunteered for me and also runs Symposia Bookstore.
Aha.
So,
okay.
Good. That's just a sampling of the folks that I work and volunteer with.
And here, Mark Singleton, who has both been an interviewer and an interviewee on Hoboken Talks,
Yes.
says, "I've never seen a Pastor Gary impression. Could you favor us with the
After hours.
okay? Well, there'll be some bonus footage,
Yes, bonus
maybe.
footage. Oh, thank you, Eric. That's very
And,
nice.
our Eric Camera says, you are following the teaching role by helping those less fortunate. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so just the basics of well, I would say both the lunchtime ministry and the shelter for someone who might find themselves in a rough situation.
Good. Yes, we have. Let's see. Yes, we do. The Hoboken Shelter.
This is Miss Haley. Do you help with getting social security numbers and government IDs? I know homeless folks lose these personal documents.
Yes.
Yeah.
We help with that. The shelter, we have case management 9 to 5, and I work in the evenings, but we can try and help you then too.
But anyone can walk in off the street between 9 and 5.
Yeah, anybody. You don't have to be staying there. You don't have to be sleeping there. You don't have to be homeless. You can have an apartment. And a lot of our guests, at least, I'd say a third of our guests at both Lunchtime Ministry and the shelter, they are not homeless. They might live in the MBS housing, formerly the Hoboken YMCA.
Right.
Or Foxhill Gardens, Jersey City, anywhere in Hoboken or Jersey City. And they're not homeless, but they need help with food. And also, they need community. I mentioned earlier that when you move out of the shelter, it's often very difficult for people. And a lot of people miss, believe it or not, the community of the shelter. Because with the shelter, you have people all around you. It's not hard to make friends. It's not hard to just have small interactions of saying hello and so on. And when you move to your own apartment, especially if maybe the reason you became homeless is you're disabled or something, and you lose all that, what are you going to do? So a lot of folks come to Lunchtime Ministry to eat, or to the shelter to eat, and just to say hello to the staff, to their friends there, and so on. And especially with like the art class that Liz, who's behind me, teaches, we see people express themselves, spend time together in an environment that's totally supportive. We help people just beyond just food, beyond documents, beyond shelter. Although all that's important, there are many needs. Yes.
Kathleen says homeless need help and community.
Yes, exactly.
100%. And whether you're homeless or disabled, I think it's easy to lose sight of the fact that you're a person like anybody else.
Yes.
And you need to be reminded of that sometimes.
Yeah.
And just nitty gritty of Lunchtime Ministry. Someone can go in there starting what time?
Yeah, we're open 8 to noon. We do breakfast as soon as we can, like 8:30, and we do lunch 10 o'clock or so, and we have to-go food throughout the day. And so whatever time you come, you will get food. We also have, most importantly, coffee all morning long. We have, not hating on the shelter's coffee or Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or anything like that, but we have the best coffee ever.
Best coffee in town. And that's it's 8th and
Hudson.
Okay. And it's how many days during the week?
Lunchtime Ministry is open 8 to noon on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay.
4 days a week, 4 hours a day.
Melissa Boyer, cafes.
Yes.
Excuse my.
How can I donate to help? Yes. HobokenShelter.org. Google Hoboken Shelter. Google St. Matthew Trinity Hoboken, and that'll take you to the church page. There's a donate online page there for Lunchtime Ministry. Also, just come by either of our locations. We always need sandwiches. We always need fresh socks.
Yeah, the Hoboken Shelter, HobokenShelter.org, has a great list of the items that are always in need.
Yes.
And then on social media, like very recently, they were saying they didn't have enough plates, disposable plates, so they put out word, and they have an Amazon wish list, which there's a link to on the website. And so, yeah, if you can't go there in person, again, this is another great thing with technology.
Oh, yes, online. And we found. Oh, thank you, Mark.
And Mark returns with Spike's greatest gift is his ability to see the ways we are all connected. That's a beautiful thing to say about someone.
Rand, you aren't editing these comments, are you?
No.
This is very, very good stuff. Thank you.
Let's see some more photos.
Yes, that is actually from before. No, that is not from before I moved to Hoboken, but that is in Cincinnati. That's at Findlay Market.
Now I'm sort of like a warlock with these things, but that looks to me like I'd say around April.
No.
I'm saying the 9th or the 10th.
The dates are all incorrect. That was an old camera. The dates did not work.
All right.
Yeah. I think it was a German camera. Anyway, that's at Findlay Market in Cincinnati, and indoor-outdoor market with lots of small vendors. And that's my friend James, and we're some street music.
And what's that, an accordion you have there?
That is, yes, it's called a melodeon. It's a box accordion, like a button accordion.
All right.
Yes.
And then next photo.
Yes, this was at Lunchtime Ministry. This is early Lunchtime Ministry. We've got Ray Durham on the far left. He was made some wonderful eggs and potatoes and things. James is a Stevens student. And then my friend Rose, I hope you're watching, Rose. I put this in here just for you. If you know how to comment, I'm sure you can. That's Rose Perry. She's a longtime Hoboken person. And that's me. And this was on a snow day. It snowed. It's probably 2017 winter. And it snowed pretty hard. And snow days are always special. We get usually very few people because all our guests with apartments are staying home.
Right.
And other folks might just stay wherever they are. If they have a doorway or something where they're staying, they'll just hang out there because that's easier than walking through a foot of snow. But the folks that do come in, we'll get like 20 people on a snow day, and they'll hang out all morning, and everyone pitches in and helps clean up the slush on the floor and shovel if we have to. And there's always a lot of food, and we have a lot of time to talk to each other. There's something very, very cool about those days.
Great. All right. The next image is...
yes, that's David with some of his art.
Was he in Liz's class?
He is in Liz's class, yes. The stuff he does with color is really extraordinary. And you'll see a lot of his art and other folks' art hung up on the walls if you ever stop by.
And also, Liz has done a couple of shows at the library.
Yes, the library, the museum, Hoboken Arts and Music Festival. We always have some art outside the shelter.
All right, next image.
Okay,
this is around the holidays.
Yes.
There's my dear friend Rose.
Yes, that's also Rose, another Rose of Hoboken.
Different.
Yes, with her son Malachi behind her.
Aha.
This picture is some guests, some volunteers. Pastor Gary is the guy in the West Point shirt. This was Christmas Eve of 2019. So I think I included that as a contrast with the next picture, which
Well,
was,
but if just while we're here,
okay.
if Pastor Gary was going to wish us a Merry Christmas, what would that sound like?
Oh, okay. Nope, that's after hours. You almost got me, Jack.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, so that earlier picture with us all huddled up together was Christmas of 2019. So of course this was spring of 2020, probably earlier spring, because as you can see, Suitcase, who was on the far left of the previous picture, is wearing a jacket. Remember, that spring was a bit chilly,
Right.
March, April of 2020. So during the pandemic, the shelter remained open, but served everybody in much smaller groups.
Right.
We
Right.
have everybody line up outside, and we let in 22 people, I think was most of the time the capacity limit. Let in 22 at a time. We'd have all the plates sitting out ready for folks to eat, and folks would eat and then leave. And we continued to stay open to give people shelter overnight. We got hotel vouchers from welfare, and we got
Great.
dozens and dozens, I can't remember the exact number, of our guests into hotel rooms, and the rest of them continued to stay overnight with us. And we stayed open the whole pandemic. Lunchtime Ministry, which is depicted here, we also stayed open, but we served everything to go. So you could come in, get some coffee to go, sandwiches to go, and use the bathroom, wash your hands, and so on. So all my volunteers got furloughed, but they continued to donate. Yeah.
My head hurts from that concept. Yeah.
Right, yeah. They kept donating and visiting. Donations during the pandemic shot up, 2020 and 2021. Yes, one meal. We missed one
Pastor
meal.
Gary, yes. Under Spike's leadership, the Lunchtime Ministry only missed serving one meal during the pandemic. That's tremendous.
Yeah, we closed for one day. That was when I got the COVID vaccine, and the next morning I was having...
So LaCroix, is that French-Canadian?
LaCroix, yes. I think so. Pastor, you can tell us, since you're paying such close attention. It's like the water, but it's spelled differently.
Right.
I
wish I knew what it would sound like. All right. Then the next. Oh, yeah, those socks. What's
yes,
that?
I'm giving him socks.
Okay. Good.
As I mentioned, socks are consistently our most needed donation.
For me, ironically, it's my least needed item.
Yes, but you still wear them.
I wear them, but
important.
by about 4 pairs a year.
Well, our guests go through a pair a day.
Yeah.
And that's because they're trying to keep clean. They walk everywhere. They wear their socks all the time. They can't go home and take off their shoes and so on. So the socks are really needed. We always need them. And we do get a lot of Bombas socks, which are great. So if you've seen those commercials and things, they do that. That
buy
is
one and they send
we
one.
have. That's a big supplier of socks for us, but also keep donating.
And the next image is...
Oh, and that was a year later, Christmas of 2020. That's a few of us standing outside back when people still thought they had to wear masks outside. That's Carol and Ronnie, both of whom I think attend church here and there besides coming to eat, and both of whom help out sometimes when we need help in the dining room and so on. So that Christmas Eve, Christmas and Thanksgiving of 2020, we had some special meals donated, and we had a food truck outside, which was a local business that some local folks donated. They said there's a business called Bro-ritos was the name of the business.
Okay, all right.
And we want to support them and also support Lunchtime Ministry. So Bro-ritos brought their food truck and gave everybody a burrito.
A burrito.
A burrito. Yes, yes. Very hearty burrito. Aha! Thank you, Pastor.
The classical French spelling of LaCroix.
LaCroix. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, again, during the pandemic, people were very generous donating.
I spent a night in
we're
LaCroix,
very-
Wisconsin.
Ah, that's where that was going. Good. Yeah, people were very generous and very creative with what they donated. At the beginning, we got a lot of homemade masks because remember, everyone was at home.
Sure.
So folks wanted to do something, and they donated masks. They made them and donated them.
Oh,
All Saints Episcopal Day School gave us tons of sandwiches. They started a program where they had a different family donating every day. And believe it or not, some of those families still to this day will donate once a week.
There's good people out there. Not everybody, but this is when you when you look, there's an awful lot of good, caring people.
Yes.
And I have, how many more photos do we?
Oh, okay. Yes. This is a group of volunteers at our volunteer party in summer of 2021. So by this time we were starting to get our volunteers back at Lunchtime Ministry and serve meals inside again. And the two young folks holding thank you cards are two of our interns from Stevens Institute of Technology, and we were saying goodbye to them. We've had a long time internship program with Stevens.
Great. And it's I know you're anti-volunteer. No, but it's it's important to show appreciation for volunteers.
Yes.
I
don't know how our volunteers do it. You guys are amazing. We have really devoted volunteers at both the shelter and Lunchtime Ministry, in addition to the shelter staff. The volunteers at Lunchtime Ministry, a lot of them, and at the shelter will come 1 day a week, 2 days a week, and cook or serve, organize, clean up, do dishes, everything for 2, 3, 4 hours.
Yeah. And groups can volunteer.
Groups can, yes. You can sign up. Hoboken has an app called Charity Quest for the shelter, and you can. It's called Hoboken Charity Quest. So you can Google that; it'll come up immediately.
A company, a small company can come and.
Yes, you have to sign up.
Yeah. Don't just show up. Don't just show up. You go on the website, or you can go to.
Website, yes. Volunteers for my other program, you can email volunteers@stmatthewtrinity.org. I don't know if you want to type that in. Can you do that?
What was it again?
Volunteers@stmatthewtrinity.org. Yes.
Patiently waiting for that. Take another
there you
sip
go.
Of the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how you can sign up to volunteer in the kitchen. That's mornings, and then the shelter is mornings, afternoons, evenings. So there's a great need. Yes.
And let's leave that up on the screen for and back to the two shot. One thing we could keep talking about this, but with music, you're very involved in music. With a seems like a weekly gig. Would that be correct?
I have 2 church organ jobs currently, and at Lunchtime Ministry, I try to play at the end of every morning for the guests, and that's a nice way to tell everybody to get out. Yes, for the Hoboken Shelter, the app is Charity Quest.
So that's easy for a small organization to sign up, and then they can find a convenient day for you.
At the shelter, Lunchtime Ministry, and at the Hoboken Community Center, which is based in the former YMCA. And the nice thing about this, when you're helping one of these, organizations, you're helping all of us, because we share a lot of resources. You know, if the shelter gets a ton of donations of one thing, then sometimes I'll take it with me, if we can both manage that, and vice versa. If we get a resource, if someone starts partnering with Lunchtime Ministry, and you know, I want to give that information to someone at the shelter. And the Hoboken Community Center has also been donating. There's been a lot of back and forth donating with them. In Jesus' Name Food Pantry,
Okay.
a ton of different places, and we all work together.
And the Lunchtime Ministry is a great thing for, because at the shelter you cannot, no one's allowed to stay there 20, like around the clock.
Yes.
So they have some...
yes. You have options, and that's so important. I mean, you know, some folks, I've actually had folks say, Hoboken's too nice to your homeless people. So, because we have the shelter, we have Lunchtime Ministry, the Hoboken Public Library. A lot of homeless folks hang out there and use the computers to work on their resumes and so on. A lot of local restaurants are very kind, and you know, if anybody, you're going down the street, you have options of where to go. Why shouldn't the homeless? So it's great. You have that alternative, and it's a little different. The shelter has more services. You have case management. You're open more hours. You have a case manager there pretty much the entire 8 hours that they're open, that can sit down with you and help you sign up for benefits and so on. Lunchtime Ministry is a little more laid back.
Right.
You can hang out there a bit longer. So whatever services you need, we're there for you.
But two churches where you were, so the other, in addition to playing the walk-off music at the
yes at Lunchtime Ministry, yeah. I play at a church in Harrison, New Jersey, which I started at when I came here in September of 2014. And I play at a church in Hackensack. Both are Episcopal churches. Yes.
And does it give you tremendous joy?
Church organs are fun.
Yeah.
I highly recommend them. You might want feet, though, Jack.
I have prosthetic. I don't. One-handed organist. That's awesome. That's awesome. What else do you want to tell us?
Anybody that is watching this and is curious about the shelter and so on, the best thing you can do is get to know your community, get to know the homeless folks. I mean, just people you run into, just say hello. That's been the greatest gift I've gotten from working. I know folks that, like I mentioned before, have moved out of homelessness, have gotten stable apartments, have come back to volunteer. It's been amazing to see that process. It's also been amazing to see the process of getting to know somebody who may always be homeless, and they may want to be homeless. Yes.
Pastor Gary, again, Spike tells us about the biggest misconceptions around homelessness. What
misconceptions?
What are the top three? Maybe?
Yeah. Why don't they get jobs? Hoboken is too nice to its homeless. I've also, this is a bit more difficult, is like I mentioned earlier, some people do want to be homeless. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If someone wants to hang out outside all day and not talk and just want to sit on a bench, sometimes that's what folks want. And one of the greatest gifts I've gotten, especially from Lunchtime Ministry as well as the shelter, is just getting to know folks, getting to trust them, getting them to maybe trust me a little bit, and the volunteers. building relationships with folks, it doesn't just happen. It takes a long time.
Right.
Saying hello every day, sometimes that's enough.
I think that there's a misconception that I just heard the other day, is that assuming that everyone who's on the street is a substance abuser.
Yes, that is absolutely not true. People have all sorts of problems, and often you don't see them right away. Again, get to know your community. Don't assume something based on what somebody looks like, and just get to know folks and be reasonably polite.
It seems like a pretty good place to end. Spike, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jack,
for being our guest, but more importantly, just thank you for giving so much of yourself to the community. It's it takes a village, as has been said by someone else, but it does. And what you said about the interworkings of the organizations, but you're playing such an important role, and it's deeply appreciated.
Thank you, Jack. This has been great,
and by me and by Eric Kammer.
Yes.
So, all right. This has been Hoboken Talks. Coming up, and Spike, this guy Anthony Forbes.
I do, just a little bit. No, Anthony's been working with me at the shelter for years, and he's the shelter manager now, and he's a great guy, very committed.
Great. And then after that, I believe you do not know Bill Keller, but he's a writer, and that should be a good one as well coming up. Hoboken Talks is in memory this season of Mel Kiernan, who was a great supporter of the museum, and actually there have been people who've remembered the museum in their wills. So we thank the family and the memory of Mel. The New Jersey Historical Commission provides us with a grant and a technology grant, which we've got some nice stuff here. Rand gets to play with some cool toys because of that grant. So thank you, Historical Commission. And the New Jersey Council for the Humanities. They love projects like this, and we appreciate their continuing support. The Shipyard Circle. These are the top level of financial supporters of the museum. And if you see the asterisks, some of them are museum trustees. I like to run through the list. We have Michael Berry and Joseph Berry and Andy Carlson, Cindy Cray, Leah and Greg Aquila. You know how to say it. It's Leah and Greg. Beth Feinstein, the estate of Joan Foster. Barbara Gross, who's a good friend of mine. Lisa Gulvin, Frank Hanavan, the great painter. Diana and Larry Enriquez. How about Susan Gamba and Valerie Huffnagel? And if you might want, in the spring when you want to redo your yard, let Valerie know. The aforementioned estate of Melvin Kiernan. On the other slide, he's just Mel, but here we go a little more formal. Catherine Kingsbury, Rebecca Kramnick, and our great Fifth Ward Councilman Phil Cohen. He and I end up in the same place a lot of times. Annette and Anthony Lange. Nancy Lynch and Chris Faulkner, Holly Metz and Bob Foster. I'm not familiar with them. Esther Milstead and Mark Villamar, Anne and Tim Murphy, Jessica Rispoli and Ted Rollins, the estate of Donald Shackjack. I had it for a whole season, and now Shackett was a previous. Our archaeologists on the board, Ellen G. Stewart. The G stands for ground. She just loves digging up in there. Bill Tobias, Kate Valenta, who commented before, and the lovely Alex Johnston, and Peter Wiley. That's the Shipyard Circle, but you're welcome to give it really any level. We can't all be at the shipyard level. I'm not. You see my name up there, but I support the museum. My name's not on there. But there's a lot of you see Rand's. That's not there. We're lower down, smaller font. It's okay, a couple of bucks here and there. A membership. So many ways to support the museum. Applied Development Company, they provide us with the physical space, right? So that's very important. We thank them. The current show, Rand, how long is this show going to?
It's going through the end of the year.
It's still going. It's going strong. There is an event where they'll be discussing the next show. But if you haven't seen it yet, or if you've seen it, come see it with fresh eyes. The Avenue, it's a history of Washington Street. You'll see so many cool items, memorabilia, nostalgic photographs. It's a lovely show, really. If you haven't seen it, or if a friend or relative's visiting, bring them by. Did I mention Unclassical Contemporary Still Lifes? It's not lives, it's still lifes, by Deborah Pohl. This is the show that's opening this Sunday, September 11th, and at 2 p.m. Come here and you'll get to see. I have a little sneak preview of them because we broadcast from up here in the upper gallery, and it's a great. She doesn't have my all-time favorite one, but that's okay. That's all right. But there's some incredible stuff here. So that's Sunday, and tomorrow night you're at home, or guess what? After, it'll be on the YouTube. It'll be a artist talk live with museum director Bob Foster and Deborah Pohl. Maybe if they're lucky, Bill Hamilton will lean his head in. I don't know. But that's at 7 p.m. Tomorrow night, Friday, September 9th. And again, if you're watching this on a delay, just search on the YouTube for the Deborah Pohl, Pohl, artist talk. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. The TikTok? No, we're not on the TikTok. That's for the kids. It's for the young people. But all these social media sites, interact with us. If you like a post, comment, share with your friends is a great way to get other people aware of the museum and new residents. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Pound that subscribe button. That's what people say. And this has been Hoboken Talks at the Hoboken Historical Museum. Guest Spike Enzweiler, we thank him again. My name has been Jack Silbert, Rand Hoppy behind the boards, and we thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.